Is it the boost that we need in our lives or the boost to our teams? From one double game week done, straight onto another starting on Saturday. And it does mean what sort of chips are we using? And are all 100% of the panel members using the exact same chip? Once again, welcome to another installment of the FPL Addicts podcast, the Double Gameweek 33 edition. Yeehaw! Ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, good morning, good evening if you're watching from the Southern Hemisphere. Yes, Aussie group chat, I've already sent you the link. Or good afternoon if you're someone in between. Welcome to yet another edition. As per usual, bringing the cavalry, one who loves baking himself in the sun, but he also works part of the sun as a sports journalist, one of the emerging young talents in the industry, but also quite emerging when it comes to his own overall rank this season. It is Lloyd Canfield. Good morning to you, and thank you for coming on yet again.
Good morning, mate. Thank you for a lovely, lovely intro. That was brilliant.
Honestly, when the motto was still on, I nearly spat out my coffee, so I really just had to hold it in. I have spat some water out before. I don't really want to do that again. Lloyd, let's go before we get into the real stuff. How has the football season treated you? You've gone into opening new opportunities for yourself, especially with interviews with the likes of Dan Byrne, had the Baller League up and running. How's it all been?
It's been mental. Like, I never expected at the start of the season, I never expected the season to go like this. So I've did an interview with Dan Byrne after the Carabao Cup final. That was on the back page of the newspaper. That was really good. I've been to Qatar to cover the Match for Hope. That was brilliant. I've been to the Sidemen charity match. I've been to Baller League. I was in Strasbourg last week, which is why I've got this glorious shirt on with Andre Santos on the back. One to watch for FPL next season. And yeah, that's in the paper today, which is really cool. That's going to also be a YouTube video and whatnot. So it's been insane, very hectic, very busy. And whilst doing all that, I've been keeping up to date with my FPL team, and I'm actually doing pretty well compared to last season as well, which is even better.
We're going to get to your team super shortly. While I get in the process of getting it up, how have you found the new changes into the game? I love asking the new guests that come on most weeks on this because everyone's got differing opinions. Have you been in favour, or do you believe that it's gone a little too much from FPL HQ?
It is a lot. I'm probably different to a lot of the guests you've had because I'm not a content creator. I don't really follow that many content creators or take the game super seriously. I tend to just kind of make my own decisions. If anyone remembers when I was on last season, I had Nicholas Jackson and called him as a pick when not many others were kind of backing him, and he actually ended up doing really well, so I didn't look like an idiot. But yeah, it's definitely a lot to handle and a bit strange, but I actually quite like it that not everyone is following the same template. Everyone's not following the same idea. Sometimes the more options you've got, the more different it makes the game, which I actually quite like because I feel like FPL recently, in the past few seasons, has just kind of become at a higher level. It's just become everyone following the same thing. Yeah. Everyone follows the same template. So I think it kind of gives you a few different options, which is nice.
Makes some really good points. And I don't think I've heard anyone have that perspective going into this channel this season. And you're spot on with pretty much everything you've said there. Before we get to your side, because I want you to have your glory moment, rightly so. We've got our usual regulars that pop by. Colm, good morning to you, our Fulham go-getter. And look, I haven't even told Lloyd this. I better tell you, Colm. So I was with a friend from back home, okay? And he wanted to go and check out the Fulham and Chelsea ground just from the outside. So we went into the Craven Cottage Superstore and we're just sort of browsing around. And then we saw a couple of staff members. And before you even know it, there's football players there. So we had two players from the Fulham women's side, had Emile Smith-Rowe and Rodrigo Muniz. So we just got a card from all of them, took a photo of them, and thought, yeah, man, this is sick. So we went and did that. But no, it was a great story. Anyway, still I'll let Colm know. Maybe not so much Lloyd. Unfortunately, no Chelsea player was there at the time. But great to have you on, as always. Miriam, thank you for tuning in, as per usual. Colm, how did your game week go? Ended last night. And yes, look, we're into the Final Four, which we don't really get to say often as supporters. We got Madrid at the right time and caught out their vulnerabilities. But are there any vulnerabilities in this side? Because it doesn't look like it. What an impressive rank and a solid score. Fire away, Lloyd.
Yeah, it wasn't bad for me this week. I mean, Jacob Murphy was probably the hero in my team. I took a gamble on Palmer once again instead of Saka, which, I mean, just Chelsea against Ipswich was it was a game. Let's put it that way. It was a game. I was hoping for a big score from Palmer. Didn't get one. That picking him over Saka on my wild card hasn't really gone well for me at all. He's still goalless in, I think, 13 games now, which is just shocking in one word for Palmer. It wasn't a bad week. Munoz, I'm very, very disappointed in. Obviously, he's very highly owned, but really disappointed in him. Isak captain was fine, but someone behind me in my mini league had him as triple captain, which didn't benefit me massively because he's now in front of me. But yeah, the Man City picks did all right. Should have played Kirkez, debated playing him and ended up going against him. But what can you do? You can't get it all right.
Solid stuff. And I'm with you on Munoz, mate. That is a disaster. How are we meant to tell people who look back on this season in years to come that Munoz actually played? If he wasn't on 0, we would have just said, yeah, he was on a blank game week, but he ended up on a negative score. When did you use your triple captain exactly, if you didn't use it on Isak?
I used mine really early on. I used it on Haaland against Ipswich when he scored a hat-trick. So I got quite lucky and I used it in a single game week. Probably just because I was a bit impatient and Ipswich didn't look great and Haaland was firing at the start of the season. So I thought it was kind of, if you remember back to the start of the season, everyone obviously was used to the Haaland of last year. And it was one of them things where it was like, well, Haaland's going to score so many goals this season that you've just got to catch him at the right time. And with a lot of people were saying, like, with the doubles and stuff later on, like, would he be rotated? Man City will still be in the Champions League and all this stuff. Like, he might end up getting swapped around, and no one could have predicted how this season would have probably gone for Man City. So I thought I'll just use it on him against Ipswich, and thankfully it paid off because he scored a hat-trick for me.
Yeah, that was a good shout. Game week 2 and game week 3, him having scored a hat-trick a week after that away at West Ham. How did you find on navigating game weeks 24 to 27? Because there was a lot of chips going around at the time, especially with the assistant manager. Everyone wanted to play it. What did you use at the time?
So I think that was the time I used my assistant manager. I think I had it on Moyes and then went to Emery. So it was around that time when everyone else was choosing Moyes, if that's the right time I'm thinking of. So I went for Moyes. Then the next week swapped him to Emery for a double. Had Emery against Chelsea, which I remember was conflicting, but that ended in a draw. So I did all right with my assistant manager chip. I didn't do amazingly, but yeah, it didn't go too bad.
Now, I know you've shot through mini league, which we'll get to shortly. We'll give you a breather. We'll go to the podcast mini league just for the moment. And as per usual, I just love it how I'm just sitting bang smack in the middle, in contrast to last season where I did well. But look, 2052, which is the highest total score at this stage of season across the last 6 seasons. But we've got to understand that a lot of people have used the assistant manager and the permanent captains early in the season has made everyone's score be higher week on week. So 75, similar to you. Haminos, who was a donkey. As a he missed a penalty.
How many points did Eze end up on?
So he got 6 in total because he got a goal in the first game.
Yeah, and then he missed a pen.
Yeah. I got your guru from the Sun in Dan Burn down back. He was nice. Salah with the assist. Palmer, as mentioned. Jacob Murphy, similar to you, and he's at captain alongside Marmoush, getting a goal in the first game. And mate, we're a bit of the same these days because I went across benching a Bournemouth defender, and it's a guy that likes to put his hands in his pockets after celebrating a goal. Listen, again, I can't wait to get rid of him because we're bound for big chip usage in the coming game week. So that's that at the moment. Simple as that. Lloyd, I think because we've got double game week coming up, Palace, Newcastle are done. Palace have got another. What about Aston Villa assets? Because they've been probably the most intriguing side when it comes to rotation. There's been a lot of players taking minutes off them. It seems that one who's prone from rotation is Morgan Rogers. What's your take on the best fantasy assets on that side?
Yeah, so I'm a bit mixed on the likes of Rashford and Watkins. They seem to be sharing minutes at the minute, and you don't know which one of them is going to kind of steal the show, so to speak. So I've got neither of them. I've stayed with just the safe Villa options, which is Morgan Rogers and Ezri Konsa, who obviously also scored against PSG, which bodes well for the weekend. So yeah, I think they're the two I'm looking at. If you've got a goalkeeper, then Emi Martinez obviously is also a great shout. Outside of that, I don't think you're kind of taking a risk somewhere outside of those three, whether that be minutes or quality, like the quality of player. So you've got like Asensio, who I think is a wonderful footballer. Probably one of my favourite players that was kind of bought here in January, but doesn't necessarily always get the minutes. The same with Rashford, wonderful player, doesn't get all the minutes, could be easily replaced by Watkins in one game. Or then you've got the likes of like McGinn, who plays a lot, but doesn't have the FPL kind of quality that you're looking for. And then defensively, you've got the likes of Luca Dean, who when he plays is pretty good in FPL, but can at any point be replaced by Ian Maatson for a whole game or in the game. And then there's options like Pau Torres, who I don't think is a bad shout, but I'd probably just rather have Konsa, to be honest.
So, great shouts on a lot of names. You said last season it was Nicholas Jackson. Who's this season's Nicholas Jackson type of pick? If you had to pick one from that side,
someone a bit underrated, or someone that might be already quite popular.
Okay.
It's not Nicholas Jackson, that's for sure.
Well, he just got back from injury just recently. Could it be John McGinn? Or no?
John McGinn is not a bad shout. I don't think Asensio is a bad shout either. Yeah. I feel like Marmoush is too obvious, but I think he's gonna be kind of the standout player of the next few weeks.
Yeah.
You know what? Okay, I'm gonna go out on a whim like I did with Jackson, and he's not in my team, so I can't say I'm backing him that strongly. I'm gonna go with Rashford.
Nice. No, that's a great shout. Yeah,
Because he similar to Jackson, like he's been a bit hot and cold, but he's now playing with a bit of confidence. And Rashford with a bit of confidence can be a scary sight for any defenders. And Rashford, again, he's playing Man City in the double, has a good record against Man City, loves the goal against Man City. He'll have a point to prove against them. So, last season it was Jackson. This season it's Marcus Rashford.
Great stuff. No, I know there was a bit of deep thought involved, so fair play to you. But
I'm almost convincing myself to bring him in.
Maybe it is the time.
I've got Rodgers, but
Ooh.
I'm tempted now.
Okay, there's some thinking to do. We've got a couple of other comments come in. Quentin, as always, the keen of food analogies. Thank you so much, as always, for stopping by and saying hello. Appreciate it. Cole, great game week from you. 107 points with a bench boost played. That is insane. And did Rodrigo Muniz give you a little dance at the club shop? Unfortunately, he did not. He had to sit on his ass and sign cards where there was pretty much no one in the queue. Lloyd, after that breather, this is intriguing. Bit of money on the line. Your work mini league, I presume. I'll bring it up. But what a fantastic season you're having. You're currently ranked 137K. What's been the secret in you having such a fantastic season? As mentioned before, is it just backing yourself in your own decision making, or have you had to sort of look in terms of what your mini league opponents' moves being made?
Yeah, so this mini league has really been the story of my FPL season this year. So this is actually one of my friends set it up, and he's got a bunch of people in. I think there's 77 of us in total, and we've all put a tenner in to the prize pot. So it's a pretty handsome amount of winnings if you do perform well. The top 6 all get a prize. The 6th spot being that you just get your money back. 5th is like 20 quid. 4th is like 50. 3rd is, I think, 70. 2nd is 150. And 1st is like 300. So, as you can see, I think am I 6 points off 2nd?
Yeah, that would be, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really trying to come 2nd, which means whilst I like to make my own decisions and back myself, I'm almost forced into trying to gain these 6 points and hoping for the small margins to pay off in my favour. So a lot of it has been kind of checking what chips they've used, what strategy they're using, what players they've got, what players I can get like a small marginal boost on them from using. Which this week I reckon would probably have been Rashford if I'd have bought him in, because everyone's going to have Morgan Rogers. But also that could go the other way then, of I can just stay in 5th and possibly drop down even further. So I've been around the top the whole season. I haven't. This is probably the lowest I've been is 5th. So yeah, I try to make my own decisions. I do trust my football knowledge, and like I said, I don't really follow content creators and such that often. Do follow some of them, but I don't kind of copy them, if that makes sense. I do follow my own intuition, which has generally served me pretty well. So yeah, that's kind of it really. I make my own decisions. I'm just trying to finish as high up this mini league as I can.
That's quite competitive, and I love your explanation, mate. How you've just going on your own road. It's as simple as that. Yeah, maybe a little influenced by others, but really not too much in comparison to many people out there in the community. So that is probably the more impressive trait about you as a fantasy manager. Thank you for sharing that. In terms of what we've learned since last week, so Villa have been knocked out. As mentioned, Arsenal are through to the last 4. Later on tonight, we have got the Conference and the Europa League matches ahead. 2-2 at the moment between Man United and Lyon. It's 1-1 between Ange Postecoglou's borrowed time in Tottenham Hotspur, injury-prone nursing home FC against Frankfurt Sausages. And the game you're going to later, Chelsea lead 3-0, which they're kind of expected to win. So I'll leave the Chelsea one aside because we're assuming that they go through. Who goes through? Is it neither, both, or one of them between Man United and Lyon into the next phase, Lloyd?
So I do back Man United at Old Trafford, but Amorim has spoken. I've been in Amorim press conferences when he's spoken about struggling at home, and if Lyon had a bit more firepower, I'd back Lyon at Old Trafford because I think Amorim really feels the pressure at Old Trafford of the home support. But Man United have been a bit better recently. I think they've got enough to get past Lyon at home. I don't think it'll be I don't think they'll blow them away. I think it'll be a close game. But I'm going to go for Man United to beat Lyon, so they'll go through, I think. Spurs. Where do you start with Spurs? I am a Chelsea fan, as you mentioned. I almost want Spurs to win because it will make it so much sweeter that they get to a final and lose than that they go out now. So I want to back Spurs to win, but I don't think they're going to.
That's fair.
I think Frankfurt will win. What's the name of their French striker? Etiquette, I want to say. I think he'll score. He looks really promising from when I've seen him play this season. So I think Spurs will lose. He'll score, and Ange will be sacked. There
you go. Any Spurs conjurers out there? You've heard it first from the Mr. Canfield. If I had to put my prediction, I think, United go through just, and it'd be great from an Aussie-based nation and the global currency perspective that Tottenham win, but I'm with you. I don't think they do. I think Frankfurt get through. Great shouts on both of them. Chat box, Ryan, good evening to you. Thank you very much for popping by in saying hello. Quick check on the public league, and it is still Tom Stones, who's been leading the majority of the season, leading by 13 points at the minute. But there was a lot of people behind his back all of a sudden, all with a almighty green arrow, headlined by two people in Natalie and Mike Halpin, both achieving 97-point game weeks. Fair play to the pair of them. Now, Lloyd, next discussion point. We mentioned briefly on Marmoush. What about the other assets of Manchester City? Because they've got two games, away at Goodison and then at home hosting Aston Villa. Who are the best assets and options in your mind?
This is a touchy subject for me because there's one that I wish I had that I don't have, and that is Kevin De Bruyne. He has been, for my money, he is the best Premier League midfielder in history ever. He is just wonderful. And now, after he obviously did well the last game week, I think he's got a bit of a farewell tour now. He's got a bit of a point to prove to just finish on a high. He should be playing consistently, shouldn't really be rotated around too much. And I just wish I had him. He'd be a strong captaincy option for me, even, I think. But I've got another Man City midfielder instead, who's been a bit of a nightmare for me since I brought him in, which is Savinho. I actually think he's brilliant. I think he's a great winger. I think he deserves to play more consistently than he is, but he is a victim of Pep Roulette. They now also have Oscar Bob returning, which is going to take more minutes away from Savinho on the right wing. I do think Savinho will at least start one of the games in the double, but I think that's probably his limitation, is that he'll only start one. I don't think he'll start both. He didn't start the last game for Man City, and that's a bit of a worry for me. I do really wish I had De Bruyne instead, but I can't afford him, and it seems a waste to take out a Man City player and bring another one in when Savinho could just do really well in a single game week or in a single game. Gvardiol speaks for himself. He's a goal threat. Hasn't been amazing of late in the opposition box, but he is a goal threat. Man City's defence hasn't been what it once was in terms of clean sheets, but I don't think anyone's been amazing for clean sheets this season. And then, obviously, with Haaland being out, it's Marmoush up front. He's a pretty obvious pick in my eyes. He'll be my captain for the upcoming week, in a week where captaincy is pretty split, I'd say. So, yeah, they're my Man City options, to be honest.
With you, great points being discussed. I think Gvardiol and Marmoush are the two more now ones. The third one is not as clear as day in this case. I talk about Erling Haaland because if he was available, would you have taken Mo Salah out to accommodate for him if he was fully fit? Because I don't think so. Oh, yeah, you would. Okay. I wouldn't.
I would.
Yeah, right.
It's a tough one, but I think fully fit Haaland in a double, you can't not have him. Like he's just because he's got that potential, no matter who you're playing against. I know this season he wasn't as good as last season. He wasn't getting the same amount of goals, but he was still on a ridiculous amount of goals for a normal striker. He's not a normal striker, but for an average striker, he is on a insane amount of goals. I think he's on 20 or something around 20, which is just ridiculous for the amount of games he's played. And I think Haaland in a double, more than likely you're going to get probably a goal in each game, maybe a goal and an assist and then a blank, something like that. But you run the risk, if you don't have him, you run the risk of him scoring back-to-back hat-tricks. And I'm someone who can't sit and not have him for that. So I think obviously Salah is also of that quality of player where you back him to get a goal and an assist every week, especially against the likes of Leicester, who are, the less we say about Leicester, the better. But I would either be in the camp of take out Salah with a single to accommodate Haaland with a double, or have them both and suffer elsewhere. I couldn't go without Haaland, I don't think.
Fair case, but that's hypothetical. I like it. I really do. I think a lot of people would agree with you on that point too. Gary, good morning or yawning. You must be on a hangover, let's say that. But great to have your company as per usual. Colin, very quickly, free hit 33. He's on the free hit. Interesting. De Bruyne, Salah, Saka, Bowen, Rodgers, Diaz actually makes a frame for the last two positions. That could easily change, though. Right, okay. We're going to be super quick here, Lloyd. If you had to pick two of those four between Bowen, Rodgers, Diaz, Martinelli, who would you pick?
Bowen and Rodgers.
In fairness, it's very hard to disagree with you on this case. I would have said Bowen because he's at home to Southampton, and then Rodgers with a double. Simple as that. So there we have it on that front. Women's League, just very quickly. One of our Aussie hometown favourites in Mirrors still leading up the top with a 41-point margin. Keep it up. 86-point game week. A few other managers also getting the score in the 90s. But Nolu's risen up to 10th. Fair play with a 98-point game week. Well done. Now, Lloyd, before we get to the transfers, the fixtures, where the construction size are built for our decisions to be made. Let's talk about Arsenal assets. Because we talked briefly on Bukayo Saka and Arsenal progressing once again. More headaches for Mikel Arteta. Who are the pick of a bunch? Because Gabriel's not in defence. So there's one man down. Saka's kind of on managed minutes. We don't have a striker because Arteta is a donkey after yet another useless transfer window. And we've got Raya, who just likes to play out the back. So who are the best after all?
I think, it is a tough one for all the reasons you just mentioned. I do think you need to have Saka, especially with the fixtures that they've got, Ipswich away and Palace at home. The problem with those fixtures is they're almost too good, in the sense that Arsenal can win both of those without Saka. And it's whether Arteta will... Obviously, he's come back from the injury. He's played brilliantly since coming back. He hasn't looked either like getting re-injured. You know, as a Chelsea fan, when we watch Reece James, when he comes back from injury, you're worried that he's going to get injured again. And he kind of shows signs of almost not going for it, really, with a bit of a fear in his own head, probably, of getting injured. Saka doesn't look like he's playing like that. I think he could, if Arteta wanted him to, he could play both those games full 90, no problems. But I don't think Mikel Arteta will take that risk. I think he will be rotated somewhat. Maybe he starts both, comes off for Nwaneri when Arsenal are already in the lead. And if Arsenal are already in the lead in those games and he does come off, you would back him to be involved in giving them that lead. So Saka is, for me, an obvious choice. He was my captain, and I've swapped it to Marmoush, which probably means anyone watching this should captain Saka, because that never works for me. I always end up thinking I should have just stuck with him, but I haven't. I'm sticking with Marmoush. So I think Saka, speaks for himself. He's a great option. I've got then Raya and Saliba. I somewhat regret going for double Arsenal defence so far, but I think those two could easily keep 2 clean sheets at the same time in the next 2 games. Ipswich got all their goals out against Chelsea. 2 goals against the Blues, which was a tough one to take, but I can't see them scoring against the Arsenal defence. And then Palace can be really dangerous on the attack, on the front foot, but with Mateta constantly being rotated and subbed off at half-time or just after, they pose less of a threat. And I think double Arsenal defence is a decent option. I think single Arsenal defence you've got to have, in which case it's then one of Raya or Saliba, depending on who else you've got. And also really like the option of Merino. I had him in my wildcard draft and then swapped him out, and kind of wish I kept him in now. So I don't mind him as an option. I think the problem with Merino is he could be rotated, but he's played fairly consistently in that role for Arsenal, and they could put the likes of Trossard up front. But even in the Champions League, I think Merino played a bit deeper against Real Madrid yesterday. I think, the whole Arsenal team played quite deep against Real Madrid yesterday, but he can still be a threat from a bit of a deeper area. So I don't think he's a bad option. And then I want to give a mention to Rice, but I don't think he quite offers enough attacking threat from an FPL point of view to get a lengthy mention.
Worthy candidates all mentioned out. Rice is also good for his stat it's called XMOTM, expected man of the matches. So, because he just picks one up every time.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. No, there's a lot to think about for those wanting to jump Arsenal ship, and they may get a feature or even a cameo when it comes to the transfers segment come when we reveal our sides. So it's time for the transfers and the fixtures, but first we'll start with the transfers. And usually when we get to this section, Lloyd, we ask whoever's on, are there any particular surprises in the top 5, both ins and out, with all of the names mentioned in front of us? So over to you.
Sorry, I'm actually on my phone, so I'm going to have to properly get close to the camera to read who's in
all
and
good. No, I can read them out.
None of the transfers in surprise me. I think we've mentioned all of them. They all seem fairly obvious options. Transfers out, obviously you've got a few injuries in there. Palmer. Cole Palmer. It doesn't surprise me because he's just in such a bad run of form. The quality for me with Palmer is undeniable, but the FPL points aren't coming with that of late. So I think the thing with Palmer is obviously the price he's at. It's a no-brainer to have Saka instead. A lot of people probably had him for the past 2 weeks, hoping he would do really well against Ipswich. He didn't. So now everyone's just, it's a logical thing to jump ship to Saka. So that doesn't surprise me, but it breaks my heart a little bit. And then Chris Wood doesn't really surprise me either. Everyone wants players this week with double game weeks, so none of them are massive shocks to me.
I think I'm gonna have to agree with you there again. Saka as a top transfer and is quite intriguing. I agree with the aspect that it's so easy to make that transition, but it's just more his minutes. I would expect Marmoush to be the most transferred in this case, or even put Saka 3rd or 4th, but he's up the top. So that's kind of where you have it.
I think that's probably just because people would be making that straight swap from Palmer to Saka. And Marmoush, people probably, a lot of people, especially people who already played their wild card, they already had Marmoush in.
No. It's good shouts. I agree. Yeah. Right, Game Week 33. Now, the interesting part we can notice about this already is that there is no Mahatma Gandhi 12:30 Saturday kickoff. So if you want that line or just don't want to think about your side till about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you can do that this week because it's a 1:30 deadline where we have 4 games a late Saturday. And then it goes on all week, the games, because they've got to make it's like make-up swim lessons, mate. They've got to make up for the games eventually. Unless there was that bomb threat at Old Trafford about 7 seasons ago, then that was a bit of an intriguing situation. I'm sure you can remember that. Lloyd, if you had to pick one fixture, this could either be from a football standpoint or from an FPL perspective. Which fixture stands out to you?
Oh, which fixture stands out?
I make it tough. Well, I try to.
I think it's a tough one because obviously this is a unique stat that I'm gonna bring to the table here.
We love stats,
and it's a reason, not a region, that you should keep an eye on Fulham at home to Chelsea. Fulham have got this weird record, right? Where I think their last it's between 6 and 8 games. They've lost, they've won, they've lost, they've won, they've lost, they've won. They've lost against Bournemouth, and now they play Chelsea at home, which means they're going to win. Everyone will be backing Chelsea, as they always do, and I'm not optimistic at all. I think Fulham will be something of a surprise and beat Chelsea as they. I think they drew the home fixture at Stamford Bridge. I was there. I seem to remember last minute heartbreak of sorts in that game. And I think at Craven Cottage, Chelsea might not have what it takes in their current run of form to beat Fulham. A couple other interesting games. Newcastle Villa will be a great game, I think. Villa in great form. They should, obviously, they got knocked out of the Champions League, but they've just beaten PSG at home, which, for me, PSG are probably the second best side in Europe at the minute. So Villa should take a lot of confidence from that. Newcastle, obviously, since the Carabao Cup victory, have been playing brilliantly. 9 goals in their last 2 games is fantastic. Scoring for fun. That game should be really good. I hope they don't cancel each other out and it ends a bit of a boring draw. Brentford Brighton is a great game as well. Both of them teams can be really exciting at attacking. Brentford, obviously, I was at their 0-0 draw against Chelsea. They held Arsenal to a 1-1 draw. Both of them teams are pretty close in the table. I'd like to see Brentford win that one. Yeah, they're my games I'm picking out, I suppose.
Okay, yeah, we're only halfway there from naming all of them just on the flick of the screen there. Right, one fixture. I'm going with one of your options. It's Villa Newcastle. Here's why: because there's a lot of managers jumping ship to Villa assets because of their double that could get one in 36, depending how they go in the semi-finals of the FA Cup. But those who've gone early versus managers who want to keep the faith, even on a bench boost, on Newcastle assets, Villa away. Now, they did win 3-1 last season. Trippier, from what I can recall, got a huge haul. Ollie Watkins scored in that game. He had a great season last season, Ollie Watkins. Let's not forget that. But it's more those who stuck a faith in him versus we want doublers instead. That's what makes it intriguing. And I'm glad it's on Sky Sports too. Look, if I'm going to be honest with you, this broadcast blackout stuff in this country is garbage and everyone's a helmet. I've learned that pretty quickly. So Colm's got an interesting fact. Won at the bridge this season for the first time since, I want to say, 1982. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was a long time. And I do remember I was sat in the press box there. I remember being heartbroken in the last few moments. So it's a great stat.
Oh, yeah, that Boxing Day fixture. Oh, yeah, because Moniz scored a last-minute winner too, and he just sort of ran by. And yes, you were there because you had the Enzo Maresca press conference after the game, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. How was Enzo on that day? Because it's a strange time period, because that's when Chelsea was sort of at the top, and then they're just...
Yeah.
Is it fatigue a reason why Chelsea sort of tailed out?
It's a tough one. I don't think I'd necessarily say fatigue. I don't know if this team has got the kind of leaders you need to get through a period like this. The youngest team, I'm pretty sure with the youngest team in the Premier League on average of the players we've started. And a few of them definitely have got the potential to be leaders. They can definitely lead by example. But I don't think we've got the strong characters kind of to get through a tough period and to motivate the players to get up for games like Fulham away. We don't feel like, as Chelsea fans, we're gonna suddenly spring back into life in a game like Fulham away, which you should be able to get up for. So yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say fatigue. We have struggled with injuries as well, with the likes of Jackson being out for a sustained period. Lavia's never fit. He's one of our better players for my money. Palmer obviously went through that period where he was a bit injured and a bit ill, and that didn't help us at all. I think it sounds mental to say because we spent so much money, but we still need a striker. We need a new goalkeeper. I think Petrovic will be a welcome addition next season, back from Strasbourg. And yeah, I think we just need that bit of killer instinct to score some goals, because we're creating loads of chances, we're just not finishing them, whether that's Palmer or whoever else. Which other teams seem to be punishing us for doing that.
It's a fair and brutal assessment. I reckon you've hit the nail on the head there. Right. Now on players, we've gone to our next segment. It's time for your double game week 33 side. Lloyd, if you can't see, let me know and I can read out the team for you, but there it is on screen. Help yourself.
What do you want me to explain? Just who I've picked and why, or
You can just briefly go over the side. It's a bench boost. Interesting. So you've kept a couple of Newcastle assets too. Do you feel confident in them away at Villa Park?
I think they'll score. It's more I kept Dan Burn more because I wanted him. Well, it was actually because I wanted him for the Ipswich game, and then I realised I'm going to use my free hit anyway. So that was probably a mistake on my part. I did, obviously, last week have Jacob Murphy, who's been in incredible form, and I now kind of wish I kept him. But I just wanted all my midfield options. I wanted them more than him. So that's the reason why he's been one of the transfers out to Morgan Rogers. Yeah, I think most of the team is fairly self-explanatory. I'm using my bench boost, obviously, because I want all the double game week players, but I also need Salah against Leicester, and I don't want to have to bench a doubler. So yeah, hopefully Areola at home to Southampton might be able to get me some points as well. Hopefully a clean sheet there because Southampton have just been dreadful. They're obviously already relegated. I'm still slightly worried about Savinho, but the rest of the team I'm pretty confident in. Marmoush obviously is my captain as well. Really did debate Salah, but I think Marmoush just more likely to play more minutes and can easily score in both those games. He's been brilliant since they brought him in.
How many transfers have you made? Was it just the Murphy move and that was it?
No, I made 3, I think, this week. Okay. It was because I had no Villa before this week. So I think I bought in Konza, Rogers, and maybe it was 2, actually. No, Konza, Rogers, and Saka, because I had Palmer last week.
Nice. Well, there you go. All guns blazing. Bench boost. Exciting time. Are you expecting 100 plus or 50 plus with several rotations?
I don't know. I don't know what to expect anymore. Feels like this season, every time I think I'm going to do well, everyone ends up doing better than me. And every time I think I could be in trouble here, I do really well. So what to expect? Probably a blank from Marmoush, probably 2 hat-tricks from Savinho, Saka will blank, and Jacob Murphy will score 3 or 4 as well.
Yep. That's just kind of how FPL goes. It's the differentials that shine. Harvey Barnes hasn't even got a mention yet. He got 27 points last game week. And it was Jacob Murphy who got 19. So they were the real winners, those who like to shop on a budget. Right, time for my side. This is how we're looking. And you know me, I don't wait for press conferences. Do I do it for viewership purposes? Well, it hasn't really improved. So let's break it down, okay? I've waited this many weeks in my life. 5 free transfers, 1.1 in the bank, okay? For anyone tuning in, I hope this is probably the best moment you'll get to witness through the course of your day. Easter Thursday it is. Bank holiday Monday, jeez. I'm running out of
Bank holiday mullet.
Right, I just think it's my team, yeah? Okay, so this is how we look. If I was playing as per usual, this is how it would be. All right, but let's just crack on. If you've got a song, if anyone's got a song that they want to sing their heads, please let me know because I'm just going to make moves and hum to it. So who are we taking out today? He's going. Just checking this is live on screen, by the way. Yeah, all right, sweet, boom. Burns to Wan-Bissaka is an intriguing one. All right, cool, see you later. Right, we're going to start from what we know. Rogers comes in.
Not Rashford?
Or no. Right, we're going to bring this guy in because he likes dancing around corner flags. We'll bring Now, Rev, I know you haven't appeared on the podcast for several weeks, but if you do, Saliba. The next person, it's either those people who get the ham sandwich, Walker's crisps, and a bottle of water from Tesco. So that's Konza from Aston Villa this week.
Great meal deal.
It's bland. That's what it is. Like, it'll keep you going, but it's nothing special. So, what are you thinking? What are the comments saying? Let's have a look. You're thinking Saka. Now, the only issue about Saka is that if I want to get all these players in, I can't get Saka. So, he was a favourite of mine. Now, it used to be Diaz's name in the game, but now it's Ruben, just to make things complicated, yeah? We're going to bring this guy in because it's not about who starts now. It's about who actually comes off the bench and does something. So that's Ollie Watkins away at Southampton.
You're going double Man City defence?
Mate, I've already had a whack season, so I'm just going to leave it. Then, how many transfers have I made? I've lost count, to be honest. Then, Wan-Bissaka. We'll go Konza. I'll tell you what's so interesting about getting these doublers in. They all have a home game in game week 35 for those playing their free hit in 34. That's a handy part about it.
Are you playing your free hit in 34?
Yeah, I will be, yeah. So just want to check. Aina, Hoyson, Marino, Watkins, Rogers. So I won't have enough to go to Saka. I don't want to go Asensio because he's already missed 2 penalties, the absolute helmet. Rashford, he could be it, you know.
I like Rashford as a pick.
You like Rashford as a pick? Yeah, right. Well, you know what? We've got nothing to lose this season. So, actually, do I want cold celebrations? Yeah, mate, this is getting tough. What are the comments saying? Pradik, we'll get to your comment shortly. It's actually about me at the moment, so not you. Then to Wan-Bissaka. I'm not going to go double West Ham defence, but I'm also going double City defence because I'm a helmet. So
you've got to have Konza, surely.
Okay, well, all right. Let's pivot a bit. Konza.
I think you should go Rashford. I think Rashford's fun.
Rashford's okay. You know what? See you guys. We are done. Oh, hang on. I want to get. Could I go to? Oh, he's 10.5. Yeah, right. So, I can't even go to Saka now. All right. So, I don't know what this team's doing. So, I'll be very quick. Well, how's he gone? Just out of curiosity. I don't like his minutes.
Got an assist against PSG.
It's a French Farmers League, mate. I'm sorry. I hate to be a burden to you. I'm just, I can't. You're going to hate me. I know it's probably the last time you ever speak to me. 3.8 in the bank. Come on, God. And then 5.
I won't hate you. You're going to hate yourself when Rashford scores.
Yeah, and you're going to let me know about it too. That's a hard part, which
I am.
Credit where it's due. Why am I getting constant?
Just because you've got a double.
Yeah, but no, I don't like Tesco's. They're boring. I'm just going to go back to Ruben. See ya. Okay, well, I'm on the stream, so I better be pretty quick on this. Look, I'm just going to roll. Do I want Dan Burn? No, you know what? Stuff. I'm going to take a hit as well because we got to do 6 with just a hit, yeah? So it will just go there for no reason at all. So there you go. 4-point hit, 6 moves. Burn, Aina, Howson, Palmer, Murphy, Isaac, Constance. Confirm. And I'm going to take a hit, but yeah, look, we've done it. So see ya. Yeah, okay. It's a wild team.
That is wild.
Yeah. All right. Position doesn't really matter, but if I had a start in XI, who would be in? Munoz just goes straight to the bench because he scored -1. What an absolute nonsense. Yeah. Right. Save team. Play the chip. Okay, that's us done. Everyone, thanks for coming. The only singles are Ariola, Bowen, and Mo Salah. I've just got to go for it. So, yeah, see ya. Okay, cool. Epic fail, your team, your vibes. Gary, I think you're spot on. It's been a failure all season. No way I'm a self-proclaimed expert after having a six-figure type rank. So there you go. Okay. Right. Teams are done, but I've got one last segment to do, Lloyd. So hold it for a moment because we've got to do our award-winning segment. Unfortunately for Colm, he can log off early because there's no Son involved in this. Right, we're going to start with Omar Marmoush, which is Canfield's captaincy choice. And the way he spoke earlier was it's full of class. It's like a Canfield Show podcast. There's a name for you, Lloyd, if you ever want to take it on board. In his last 5 home outings, Marmoush, he scored 6 goals and an assist. In addition, Man City have scored in their last 5 away outings at Goodison Park a total of 12 goals. Bukayo Saka, one in which both of them, well, one of us has got him, but the other, Arsenal have scored 9 goals in their last 2 home outings against Crystal Palace, and he's been involved in 4 of them, 3 goals and an assist. He's most transferred in with 225,000 new owners. We talked about it earlier. It's that segue from a Cole Palmer who's genuinely gone cold, no joke, to Saka, who's probably got a bit of spice in him, but time will tell. Mo Salah away at Leicester. Now, the less said about Leicester, the better. Lloyd epitomised it to a T before. Because why? Foxes have not scored a home goal in the league since December, which was at home to West Ham. They are putrid. However, the Egyptian has only got a modest record against the Foxes, 8 score involvements in his 12 outings. But the last time he put foot on grass there, he got a wicked 3 assists. In addition, the fantasy top scorer of the season has amassed 59 points in his 5 matches against promoted sides this season. 2 more to go. Please bear with me. Morgan Rogers did it cold against Man City at home in December. Could he do it again? Because he got a brace in the reverse fixture. Outside his game week 20 suspension, he has started every game this season. In addition, 35 points in his last 6 game weeks, which consists of 2 goals and 3 assists. And Ismail Assar at home to Bournemouth and away at Arsenal. It's created 6 big chances in the last 5 game weeks, which is the most of any midfielder in that time who do have a double game week alongside 9 big chance involvements. Same with Rodgers, 35 points in the last 6 game weeks with 3 goals and assists and 6 bonus points to go with it. That is all. Pick wisely. You know what makes it so interesting? I'm sure Lloyd can agree with this, is that it's not obvious the choice. People could really go anywhere, couldn't they?
They can, yeah. I mean, as I said already, Marmoush is my pick purely because of Saka's minutes. If Saka was guaranteed to play as much as Marmoush in terms of minutes, then I would pick Saka just because I think the fixtures are better. But with my knowledge, I don't think Saka will play as much as Marmoush, so he's going to be my choice. Crystal Palace, I've just lost faith in Crystal Palace after the disaster that was the last game week, especially with the likes of Munoz. So yeah, I don't think Rodgers is a bad shout. I don't think Villa assets are a bad shout for captaincy, but I don't think they're as strong as Marmoush or Saka. So yeah, for my money, it's Marmoush, which means you should probably go with Saka.
Yeah, that's if I had him. Yeah, great point. So that does it. Well, they call it the hour power, not quite in F45 class, but we just do the Addicts hour. And there you go. Beautiful. Lloyd, well, once again, thank you so much for coming onto a podcast. I hope you enjoyed yourself. And if you didn't, you can always message me. That's our feedback form for the channel. But yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having me, mate. Brilliant.
Yeah. And for anyone that wants to find your handles, whether it be TikTok, not quite email. People don't do that these days, but, you know, your Instagram, your handle on X, where can they find you? Give yourself the biggest plug you like.
Oh, so you can. Well, obviously, I'm becoming somewhat of a celebrity these days, so you can just Google me if you really want to find me. No, so this is my Instagram handle here. It's just Lloyd Canfield on everything else, I think, without the FC. So thankfully, I've got a pretty unique name that if you search me most places, it'll be me that comes up and not some stranger from halfway across the world. So yeah, that's about it, really.
Beautiful. All good. Well, Lloyd, Ripper stuff. Enjoy tonight as well. I presume you're reporting. Is that right?
Yeah, sure am. Hopefully, get to see some youngsters in action.
Yeah. Just very quickly too. Last question: who's been the favourite player you've interviewed this season?
That's a tough one because they're for different reasons. Probably Dan Burn was great just because of the result from it, that it was on the back page of the paper was really cool. Cucurella was really good because he was the first. Speaking to him was the first time I'd really led a mixed zone interview, and the majority of questions asked to him were by me. So he was really, really good. And then there's been a few others. There's been Romeo Lavia. He was right at the start of the season against Man City. He was brilliant as well. I'm gonna go with Cucurella. He was my favourite, I think.
Nice one. In the hometown too, over your club of support as well. Well, I don't rip the stuff, Lloyd. Thank you for coming on. And to those who tuned in, thank you so much. We'll catch you next week. Not sure who will be on. Me, mate, you're welcome. Anytime. An absolute pleasure to have. Similar to last season. Till next week, where we'll catch you for the second blank game week for the season. Roll on the match day.